Hello, good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are on the globe. I'm more than happy personally that you joined our session today on Agentic Sale, where we'll talk and go really deep into the topic of how to scale using Agentic AI in sales without losing control. I know from my conversations with a lot of sales leaders that the fear is big to fail. And then when we deliver huge value using AI, the accountability counts here. But to all the obstacles, we will go in detail in a minute. My name is Tim Kortinovis, and my personal journey into AI began some 35 years ago. Here you see me as a nerdy young boy at the age of 15. I got my first computer and I started programming it with a chatbot. It was called Eliza and had nothing to do with what we see today, but it was the first glimpse of a thinking machine, a machine that we could chat with and that eventually could take over some of our manual tasks and think with us, not for us, but with us. Now, 35 years later, I'm traveling the globe and Forbes names me a tech visionary. They featured my book, The Single-Handed Unicorn, that became an Amazon bestseller last year. And I'm giving keynotes and workshops and virtual keynotes like this one to sales leaders, C-level executives, and all people related to revenue responsibility. I've done this for the last 20 years and I've worked with a lot of companies from Fortune 500 like Siemens, Avaya, ING to small businesses, and I've worked as a startup advisor also on sales pipeline automation. I've written 6 books on the topic so far, and Thinkers 360 renowned me as a top 10 thought leader in Agentic AI, top 10 thought leader sales, and top 10 thought leader generative AI. Welcome to this Agentic Sales Live. I know some of you have severe problems. Not you, maybe, but some of your fellow attendees. And the problem is pipeline velocity math. You are trying out a lot of AI tools and you're doing quite a lot and you're trying to keep up, but the math doesn't show revenue and more revenue. So pipeline velocity is still slow. You're getting some leads or maybe a lot of leads, but conversion is slow. And you have the feeling that you're failing and you fall behind using AI. You're not the only one, and I'm here to help. We have 2 poles right now in most organizations and enterprises globally. The first one is a lot of fear, mistrust, doubt in your team. So people fearing of that AI that they don't understand and they don't know how it works and maybe if it takes their job or not, and they're merely confused. And maybe we as sales leaders are also doubting that we can trust this AI thing as we don't understand it fully. We have a black box, and yes, who's accountable if it goes wrong? And then on the other hand, even worse are the trailblazers, those who implement and try each AI pilot. They listen on YouTube from a new AI tool and they try it out in the next instance without supervision. And that leads, sadly, to this situation: the death of 1,000 pilots. This is really, really sad. And Rodney Zammel, the global lead of digital McKinsey, stated one of the challenges of generative AI that it is so easy to use and so easy to start a pilot project that you can stuck in this death by 1,000 pilots approach. So you may have these trailblazers in your teams as well, and they're starting pilots and reporting maybe some giant experiences, but maybe not. There's no strategic overview what works and what doesn't. And what is more, and we will go in detail there, the question is, how does this AI pilot drive revenue? How does it strip off constraint from our pipeline? So we have this situation, and that leads, another number by McKinsey, to just 11% scaling in AI projects. Imagine you're hiring a team of 100 talents, and just 11 of these 100 talents actually are successful in their roles, and 89 of them aren't, and they don't succeed. So this is not a good number, and I don't want your organization be among those not scaling. There are several obstacles right now and hurdles when it comes to apply AI to your business in a way that it really drives value for the organization. So in my company, we developed this model. It's the dual lens model, we call it. And on the horizontal axis, you see the personal level, and on the right-hand side, the enterprise level. So it goes from the individual to the enterprise level. On the vertical axis, you see the external view. This is the brand view, maybe your customers, your leads, your prospects, or possible employees, and the internal view of each individual inside the organization. And it might be a good maneuver to start implementing AI in your organization, to roll it out, when you first begin empowering your employees with simple AI tools that work like calculators and that everybody can use on their desks immediately, the next moment, to have their buy-in, to automate customer-centric applications, and to use heavily AI agents in all your customer operations and sales and marketing processes. Okay, we will see how this goes into your strategy in a moment, because a lot of companies right now see the illusion of progress. They're actually not progressing, but they see the illusion. They are just using AI to generate emails. They generate meeting summaries, maybe automatically putting the summaries also in the CRM system, maybe not. They do AI lead scoring, and they use AI chatbots, and they feel so progressive in this whole. But if you're honest, and in your honest moments, if you're alone in your chamber in the evening and think about your numbers, do they actually reflect all these intents to keep up? Maybe not, because this is automation. This is not agentic leverage. This is far behind what is possible today. So why do pilots stall at all? Huge question, and we have a couple of answers. 4 are here. First one, pilots stall because you have no clear economic target. What are you going to achieve using this pilot? What economic goal is behind it? Okay, oftentimes you have poor data quality. Of course, you have legacy CRM systems with a lot of legacy data, and that might not be accurate enough to get insights driven by AI. But the most severe ones are the ones in the bottom. No training or ownership. So you need trained humans to use these agentic AI systems, and you need clear ownership. You need intern accountability, and this has to go hand in hand with persons feeling the responsibility and accountable to the outcome. And the last one is expecting autonomy too early. If you open YouTube or your LinkedIn feed, you hear it day in, day out. All my fellow experts, no, I don't want to say and stress this. No, a lot of influencers, B2B influencers shouting that all these systems run autonomously without them moving a thumb. And that's not true at all. It's called automation, but it doesn't run automatically, not at all. So before it comes to true autonomy and true autonomous systems, we have to put in state a lot of guardrails and a lot of manual thinking on how to design the AI agentic system in sales to run smoothly without a lot of supervision. We'll come to this in a moment. Okay, so most companies in their pilots treat AI as a tool, as if it was a hammer, instead of asking the right question. And this right question is, what revenue constraint are we removing? Where are the constraints in our revenue? Normally, there are three of them, three of them are the most common ones. First is pipeline restriction. Not enough qualified opportunities entering the funnel. This is oftentimes the case in younger enterprises, meaning startups or companies entering new business models, entering new markets. This might be the case there. Sometimes it's the second one, it's velocity. So speed is missing there. Deal stall in mid-funnel. Agentic workflows surface blockers if you want them and can handle this. And then last one is forecast. Oftentimes leaders can't trust the numbers. You have teams telling you numbers, but you're not sure if this is true at all. So, and now this is my personal advice here, my learning from years of working with AI and agentic AI in sales in large and medium-sized enterprises. Focus on one constraint at a time. Focus is everything in business, and also when it comes to apply agentic AI in sales. So pick one and wait for the single breakthrough, and they will be tremendous, I can guarantee you. I have two best case studies for you. First one is from Harley-Davidson. Harley-Davidson just 1.5 years ago implemented agentic AI in their sales processes, and they reported an incredible 2,930% increase in lead generation. So a lot of more leads in the pipeline, and they boosted sales overall by nearly 30% just with agentic AI. So a heavy booster like this one we see here. And the next one is a B2B business, Greenhouse. They're a recruitment company, and they introduced the Piper AI SDR, and it helped them to get $27 million more in their pipeline for Greenhouse in a short amount of time. So it is possible, and these are two examples that show that if you do it right, the outcome can be enormous. Okay, so how do we get there? Which road to take? First of all, and you see it here, you need clear constraint autonomy. We see each and every day agents going wild and doing things that they're not made for and that they're not thought for. So you have to constrain the autonomy of your agent. And this is one of my personal examples. I used to write all my LinkedIn postings for about 4 to 5 months, totally on autopilot. So I have Rick, and you will get to know Rick at the end of this session. Rick is my personal AI assistant, and Rick wrote all of my LinkedIn content for me and via the Buffer app posted it totally autonomously on LinkedIn. That was a fatal error, as my views decreased and my overall engagement on LinkedIn decreased. I lost control over it. So I realized that this is a bad situation for my brand and my profile on LinkedIn, and so I changed the whole workflow. And now I have an idea for a good LinkedIn post around all problems and obstacles, challenges of sales leaders. I'm collecting them all day in my Evernote notebook, and from there I take one idea at a time. I give it to a custom GPT that is trained on Rick's style and on my style, of course, and it has my tonality in the background, and that one writes a post. And I've taken also into account the Bruce 360 update on the LinkedIn algorithm, and now it produces a post that is sharp on the problems of sales leaders and gives also answers from my perspective, but in a very sharp, crystal clear way. So I just need 10 minutes to produce a brilliant LinkedIn post that actually works, that drive views on my profile and that drives also inquiries. But there are these constraints. It doesn't run completely on autopilot. Okay, so coming to the next one, also important. Focus on the business outcome, not on the capabilities. I see a lot of teams right now searching for AI tools and trying out their features and their capabilities. Don't do this. Focus on the business outcome you would like to have. So more leads, more qualified leads, or more higher stakes or whatsoever. So focus on the business outcome. And then, and this is really important, don't omit legal teams. I know I'm a sales guy myself. I don't like to talk to legal departments either, but don't do this. If you have a pilot, start from the very beginning to also attend all stakeholders from legal departments, from security departments, or from your risk department. Ask them what you should do to make a real safe AI agent in sales, and ask the HR department if necessary, and all stakeholders in the whole organization as early as possible to not have problems later on, and when the system is running, getting then all the legal or HR problems. So onboard them first. And then, of course, I've talked about AI agents being a black box. That's so true. So build verifiability, logging, and explainability into agents from day one. Do everything so that you can understand why your agent decides what. And this is especially true when you focus on the business outcome. So the clearer you know how your agent works, how it decides their decisions, the better you are with your agent. And I hope when you follow this path, you won't belong to the group of companies that Gartner predicts over 40% of agentic AI projects will be cancelled by end of 2027. I think this would be a tremendous loss, because agentic AI in sales is there to help you and to drive real revenue. But it's not that let's roll out AI. It doesn't work that way. Instead, better do this. First, pick one revenue constraint. Second, define measurable outcome. Third, assign a human owner. 4, deploy a narrow agent. And by the way, not the shiny use cases are here the best, but a narrow agent that does what you want it to do. Step 5, measure weekly. That's it. Sounds simple. It's not that easy, but it's simple in the core. We are reaching the end of this live session. I have one more example that should illustrate the way you can do it. Before your teams, and I know a lot of sales teams spend hours and hours researching prospects. You could give them AI as calculators to do the research manually, but maybe you want to deploy an agent that does it for them. For instance, I do it like this. When I have a sales meeting in my calendar, my agent, Rick, takes the information from the attendees and researches all the background using Perplexity as the large language model and writes every detail for me in the appointment description, so I know who they are, where they're standing, where I can deliver value directly into their organization, and why they should hire me. So when I, just 2 minutes prior to a meeting, enter the meeting room and read the description, I'm clearly 360-degree focused on where they are and how the meeting should go on and where should I focus on, totally by the agent. Not a shiny use case, but definitely a very useful one, saving me hours of research. Okay. Yeah, I almost forgot.
In order for others to trust us, we must first trust them.
Yeah, so true, by Stephen Covey, The Speed of Trust. If you want speed in your organization, trust your teams. Don't just trust the AI. Okay, one more before we go. Of course, there are new roles. I see a lot of leaders using AI, a little bit under the table and coming up with brilliant results, not talking about AI. Just do it the other way around. Have brilliant results, success, and tell your people, your teams, that you used AI and that they have to use AI. And some smart companies are reporting, as for instance, the National Fund of Norway, and they report they make the use of AI mandatory if you want to have a career in that organization. That could be a good idea for your organization as well. So use AI, talk about it, and be the new role model when it comes to using AI. And then your people will feel like working on inline skates. I'm applying AI in my organization for the last 6 years heavily, and it really feels like going on inline skates. So what some 6 years ago took me 2 to 3 business days to accomplish, right now takes me 2 to 3 hours, and the results are even better. So empower your people and you will get their buy-in. You have to ask yourself the question, 18 months from now, in August 2027, will you be an organization with humans using tools, or do you want to be an organization where humans direct autonomous systems? I promised you would meet Rick this session. Here it is. Rick is my personal AI assistant. Rick is more than happy to send over the presentation as a PDF to you if you connect with Rick via the QR code, or if you don't use WhatsApp, just send Rick an email to rick@cortinovis.de. It's Cortinovis with a C, CORTINOVIS.de, or just drop me a direct message here on LinkedIn. I promise I'll answer all of them. Okay, so we've reached the end of this session, and I've just one remark to make. Most companies don't fail with AI for technology. They fail because they treat it as a tool rollout instead of a revenue redesign. If you want this conversation inside your leadership team, I'm more than happy to bring this session to your organization. Stay curious and have a delightful rest of your day.